In 2026, the biggest sporting event on the planet is coming to North America, the FIFA World Cup. For the United States, this was supposed to be a crowning moment, a secured bid, an armada of massive state-of-the-art stadiums, and a projected economic windfall measured in the billions. It was a done deal, a coast-to-coast celebration of soccer's arrival as a mainstream American sport. But what if I told you that behind the roaring crowds and gleaming turf, a series of major hurdles are emerging? What if the American dream of hosting the world's biggest party is at risk of turning into a logistical and political headache? Because beneath the surface of official announcements and confident press conferences, a different story is taking shape. A story of mounting concerns, anxious officials, and a series of challenges that have led some to ask the unthinkable. Is the United States about to fumble the World Cup? The promise versus the unprecedented reality. Let's rewind for a moment. When the united bid of the USA, Canada, and Mexico was announced, the vision was grand. The US, as a senior partner, would host the lion's share of the tournament, 60 of the 104 matches, including every single game from the quarterfinals onward. The final itself was awarded to New York, New Jersey, a symbolic capstone for a tournament set to be the largest in history. This wasn't just a bigger World Cup, it was a fundamental shift in scale, expanding from 32 to 48 teams for the first time ever. FIFA President Gianni Infantino compared the event to hosting 104 Super Bowls in 1 month. Think about that. The Super Bowl is a monolithic event that requires years of planning for a single city. Now multiply that logistical mountain by 104 and spread it across 11 different American cities, from Los Angeles to Boston, Miami to Seattle. The projected economic impact was staggering, with bid boosters estimating over $5 billion in economic activity for North America. But it's worth remembering that independent economists often warn these rosy projections don't always pan out, as the real benefit only comes from attracting new money from international tourists. Still, it was pitched as a flawless opportunity, but the reality of executing such a monumental event is proving to be far more complex than anticipated. The very scale that made the bid so attractive is now revealing a minefield of challenges. Top travel executives have begun to publicly voice their worries, pointing to a cascade of issues that, if left unaddressed, could jeopardize the event's success. The promise of a seamless, continent-wide celebration, and the first and perhaps highest hurdle is a simple one: just getting people into the country. The travel nightmare, a closed door to the world's game? A World Cup is more than just a collection of soccer matches. It's a global pilgrimage. It's a festival where fans from every corner of the earth converge, bringing with them the color, noise, and passion that makes the tournament unique. But what happens when getting through the front door is a major challenge? This is the fear that's sending shockwaves through the global soccer community. Strict U.S. immigration and visa policies are creating what many see as a potential wall around the tournament. While athletes and their immediate staff may receive exemptions, the same guarantees haven't been extended to the lifeblood of the event: the fans. This isn't a minor issue. For many nations expected to qualify, a B2 tourist visa is required, a process that has become notoriously slow and fraught with uncertainty. In the wake of the pandemic, visa application backlogs have soared. Reports have cited potential wait times stretching for many months in major soccer-loving nations. The situation has prompted some fans to consider abandoning their American travel plans altogether. One fan from India, facing a long wait, stated his backup plan was to apply for a Canadian or Mexican visa instead, just to be on the same continent for the event. This is where the narrative begins to shift. Canada and Mexico, initially junior partners, are increasingly seen as more accessible and welcoming alternatives. This perception is fueled by reports of U.S. travel restrictions affecting numerous countries. While FIFA and the White House have offered reassurances, stating that the world is welcome in America, the anxiety persists. Human rights groups have urged FIFA to be prepared for all scenarios if the U.S. can't guarantee access for all fans. The fear isn't just about empty seats, it's about the very spirit of the World Cup. A tournament hosted behind a bureaucratic wall where thousands of passionate fans could be excluded feels like a contradiction in terms. And when fans can't get in, the sponsors who pay billions to reach them start to get nervous. The money question, a billion-dollar promise at risk. The economic argument for hosting the World Cup has always been its centerpiece. The projections of billions in revenue for host cities are built on a simple premise. Millions of international visitors will arrive, open their wallets, and create a massive economic stimulus. But that entire model is predicated on those visitors actually showing up. The visa concerns create a direct threat to this financial promise. Every empty hotel room, every unsold meal, and every vacant bar stool represents a crack in the foundation of those economic projections. Economists stress that the real benefit comes from attracting new money into the country, international tourists who wouldn't have come otherwise. If a significant portion of those fans are blocked by visa issues, the economic impact could be substantially diminished. This creates a ripple effect that extends to corporate sponsorship. Global brands invest hundreds of millions of dollars to activate their sponsorships in host cities, building fan zones and hosting massive events. Their return on investment is measured in eyeballs and engagement. If stadiums risk having sections of empty seats for certain matches, the value of that sponsorship exposure declines. While there is no credible evidence of major sponsorship deals being officially moved, the perception of risk is what's changing the conversation. Canada, with its reputation for more stable visa policies, begins to look like a safer bet for brands looking to guarantee a vibrant. This perception alone could cause brands to shift their marketing focus and on-the-ground activations toward Toronto and Vancouver, where they see less risk and a more guaranteed return. The money doesn't have to leave the U.S. on paper for the U.S. to lose out on the ground. The logistical mountain, 104 Super Bowls. Beyond the politics of entry, there's the sheer unprecedented logistical challenge of hosting this expanded tournament. The 104 Super Bowls analogy isn't hyperbole. It's the operational reality facing the host cities. And America, for all its resources, is discovering just how hard that is to pull off. One of the most significant yet overlooked hurdles is the playing surface itself. Most of the 11 American host stadiums are home to NFL teams and feature artificial turf. FIFA regulations, however, demand natural grass pitches. This means that massive stadiums like SoFi in Los Angeles and AT&T Stadium in Dallas have to undergo complex and expensive conversions. It involves installing sophisticated irrigation, ventilation, and lighting systems to maintain a world-class playing surface inside enclosed structures, an effort being overseen by turf experts from multiple U.S. universities. Then there's the issue of transportation. The U.S. is hosting matches in 11 cities spread across 4 time zones. Within the host cities themselves, the infrastructure is a point of major concern. Unlike many global cities, American urban centers are often heavily reliant on cars, with public transit systems that are ill-equipped to handle a sudden influx of hundreds of thousands of fans. Organizations like Transportation for America have warned that the U.S. is woefully unprepared, pointing to service cuts and reliability issues. In Arlington, Texas, home to the stadium hosting the most matches, the city famously lacks a comprehensive public transit system, creating a potential nightmare for moving fans. These aren't just inconveniences, they threaten the entire fan experience and could tarnish a city's reputation long after the final whistle. The blame game: who is responsible? So how did we get here? How did an event that was supposed to be a triumph become fraught with so much risk? The answer is complex, and there's plenty of responsibility to go around. It's easy to point the finger at the political climate. A stricter stance on immigration has certainly created the visa anxieties that threaten to undermine the event. The rhetoric and policies have created a perception of the U.S. as a less than welcoming destination, a powerful narrative that is difficult to overcome with press releases. However, FIFA is not without fault. The decision to expand the tournament to 48 teams, while politically popular, was a choice to prioritize growth over logistical simplicity. This expansion dramatically increased the complexity and cost of hosting. By awarding the tournament to a 3-country bid, FIFA also created a structure with inherent coordination challenges. Finally, you could argue that a degree of American exceptionalism played a role. The assumption was that the U.S., with its massive stadiums and experience hosting events like the Olympics and Super Bowls, could handle anything. The unique challenges of the World Cup, its global nature, and the sheer number of international visitors may have been underestimated. The U.S. knows how to throw a party, but it may have forgotten that the first rule of being a good host is making sure your guests can get through the door. This story is still being written, and the final chapter is far from decided. The concerns are real, but so is the opportunity. This brings us to the core question. Is this a case of the U.S. actively fumbling its World Cup moment? Or is it simply grappling with the unprecedented challenges of hosting the biggest sporting event in history? Are these legitimate signs of trouble, or just the growing pains of a groundbreaking tournament? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is the U.S. on track to host an incredible event, or are you looking at tickets for matches in Toronto and Mexico City? The lingering question. The 2026 World Cup was meant to be America's grand return to the center of the soccer universe, a chance to erase the memory of the failed 2022 bid and to demonstrate that the U.S. had finally become a true soccer nation. The infrastructure is here, the passion is here, the financial power is certainly here. All the ingredients for the most successful World Cup in history are on the table. And yet a number of serious questions cast a shadow over the entire enterprise. The promise of billions in revenue is challenged by the possibility that thousands of fans will be kept away. The prestige of hosting the world's game is at risk of being overshadowed by headlines about visa denials and logistical chaos. The U.S. is not being outplayed on the field, but in the crucial arenas of diplomacy and accessibility. The clock is ticking. With the tournament approaching, the pressure is mounting on officials in Washington, D.C., and at FIFA headquarters to streamline processes and offer concrete guarantees. They must prove that "the world is welcome" is not just a slogan, but a practical reality. Will the United States rise to the occasion and deliver on its World Cup dream? Or will 2026 be remembered not as the greatest tournament ever, but as the year America built a beautiful, multi-billion-dollar stage for the world's biggest party, and then made it incredibly difficult for guests to attend? The world is waiting for an answer.